Hello, I'm Aidan McGee and welcome to our countdown of the best players in the world this year. The Goal 50 is voted for by editors from Goal's 35 editions representing more than 600 journalists. It provides an unparalleled insight into the highest achievers in all positions and across all continents, and unearths many of the future stars of the game. Lionel Messi picked up the award last year. To find out who'll win it this year, I'm joined by Goal correspondent Greg Stobart and international football writer Peter Staunton. The countdown from 50 through to 11 has already been decided. We'll see Neymar, after starring for Brazil at the World Cup, is number 30, and Gareth Bale, who helped Real Madrid win the Champions League, is 26th. So that brings us to our top 10 players in the world for the Goal 50. So let's find out who is at number 10. A stalwart of Real Madrid's team for almost a decade now, Sergio Ramos' latest season with the Spanish Giants was one to remember. Even though they missed out on the La Liga title, Ramos was a key figure as they won the Copa del Rey and the UEFA Champions League. Two-headed goals from Ramos helped them demolish Bayern Munich in the semi-finals, and in the final itself his stoppage-time header prevented his team losing to City rivals Atletico. Real went on to win 4-1 after extra time to win their 10th European Cup. Okay, so Greg, what's so interesting about Ramos this season is that, as we say, he's been a mainstay for a number of years now. What's been the difference this year? He seems to be making an impact in the opposing half.
I think what's happened with Ramos this season is he's turned into a real leader, and he's shown that, of course, on the biggest stage in the Champions League final. They were down and out, they were buried, the Decima dream was over, and then he's popped up and scored a crucial goal, and it's helped them win the Decima. He did it before, of course, in the semi-final against Bayern Munich. He was huge in their run to the Copa del Rey title. I think what we've seen is he's a leader. In Mourinho's absence, he's bossed the back four. You hear his array of whistles to teammates. He wants to take charge, he wants to take control, and that's where he's really stepped up this year. But for me, there are still big question marks over his defending. I thought he was pretty poor at the World Cup, and that's why he's not even higher on the list.
Okay, thanks, Greg. Let's have a look now and see who's at number 9. When Juventus signed Arturo Vidal in 2011, they knew they were buying a pedigree player. Tough tackling with an eye for goal, Vidal has since helped the Turin Giants win 3 consecutive Serie A titles. The 27-year-old scored 11 goals in 32 appearances in his latest campaign. He required knee surgery in May but recovered in time to help Chile reach the second round of the World Cup, where they lost on penalties to the host nation. Vidal's eye-catching form has seen him become one of the most sought-after midfielders in Europe. So Pete, tell me, what's been the difference with Vidal this season? Why is he suddenly capturing attention of the major clubs in Europe?
Well, he's capturing the attention because he's probably the most complete midfield player anywhere in Europe at the minute. You know, he tackles well, he passes well, chips in with some crucial goals too, and he's just helped Juventus win their 3rd Scudetto in a row. He's a crucial part of Antonio Conte's system at Juve, although Conte has since departed. And he's about the only player to emerge with any sort of credit from their European campaign. He scored 5 goals in the Champions League group stages, including a hat-trick against Copenhagen as well.
And he showed immense character, didn't he, by being injured before the World Cup and still managing to recover?
Yeah, it seemed a worrying time for Chile fans after Juventus clinched the Scudetto that Vidal would go off and have a knee operation. But from the moment he stepped onto the pitch in Cuiabá against Australia, there was no doubt that his all-action combative style would be on display in Brazil. And along with Alexis Sanchez, he emerged probably as their most impressive player as they went out predictably to Brazil in the second round.
Okay, thanks, Pete. Let's look now and see who's at number 8. Spending a 3rd season on loan with Atletico Madrid from Chelsea provided Thibaut Courtois the chance to showcase his abilities in stunning fashion. Already regarded as one of the best goalkeepers in the world, the 22-year-old was a giant between the posts as Atletico won the Spanish League title and reached the final of the UEFA Champions League. Having helped Belgium reach the quarter-finals of the World Cup, Courtois is now back at Chelsea, keen to become Jose Mourinho's number 1. So Pete, 2 questions really. Are we looking now at the best goalkeeper in the world? And secondly, is there an argument for saying that he was probably Atletico's most important player throughout last season?
Well, to take that one first, Aidan, yeah, definitely. This was a side that was built on the bedrock of defending, and they conceded only 26 goals on their way to a league title. So Courtois was certainly responsible for a good many points, as many points you would say as Diego Costa was at the other end of the field. Especially in the Champions League as well, they ran all the way to the final. He was hugely impressive in the knockout stages against AC Milan, Barcelona and against Chelsea. Some of the saves that he pulled off in those ties were beyond belief.
We've just seen Manuel Neuer win the World Cup. I mean, is he better than Manuel Neuer? Some people would say that's a hotly contested point.
Neuer obviously, won the double with Bayern Munich and also won the World Cup. But who would have expected Atletico Madrid to beat Barcelona and Real Madrid to the Liga title last season. And you know, they've grown every season under Diego Simeone, winning the Europa League, winning the Copa del Rey, and then capping it all off by winning La Liga. And central to all of that has been the form of Courtois, and he's certainly a better goalkeeper now that Chelsea have got back than they sent out on loan 3 years ago.
OK, Pete, you seemed a bit unsure there as to who was the best between Neuer and Courtois, but we'll leave it there just for now. Let's see now who's at number 7.
He has his demons, he just can't control them.
He was so convinced he'd done no wrong.
He's a winner, and that just spilled over a little bit.
You can't get away with that.
He deserves his punishment.
He cannot truly settle into the Barcelona ethos if he doesn't cut out the other side of his game, which is far, far more unpleasant.
OK, so Greg, Luis Suarez is a player who seems to carry baggage wherever he goes. What's keeping him in that top 10?
Well, for a start, we only take footballing ability into account, and no one can argue that he doesn't deserve to be on the list on his footballing ability alone. Luis Suarez is a wonderful player. He's done things that I never thought I could see on a football field in the last year. He's been the best player in the Premier League by a mile, and he's going to be hugely missed when he goes to Barcelona. He scored 31 goals. He scored 31 goals, and it was almost like every goal was completely different. He didn't even take penalties. His record would have been even better if he had taken penalties. Unfortunately for many, his season will be remembered for the fact that he missed the start of the season because he bit someone, and then he did it again on the biggest stage of all in the World Cup against Italy. And it cost him and it cost his team because, of course, he missed the second round and they got knocked out by Colombia.
For many observers, James Rodriguez was the real star of the World Cup in Brazil. 6 goals saw him finish as the tournament's top scorer to claim the Golden Boot. A gifted, intelligent player, Rodriguez's big money transfer from Porto to Monaco in 2013 raised eyebrows. He helped the club return to the Champions League by finishing second and also provided the most assists in the French league. OK, so Pete, it's fair to say, I mean, you've seen this player at close quarters in recent weeks. He's not really on this list because of his club form, is he?
Well, he stood up brilliantly once Falcao got injured in January and became the focal point of the team to help them finish second place in the league. And Jose Pekerman, the Colombia manager, you know, he maybe saw something in that because Rodriguez fulfilled that central role for Colombia too at the World Cup. We all know what happened. What more did he have to do to win the Golden Ball at this World Cup? He scored 6 goals, 2 assists, 3 Man of the Match awards. And not only that, 3 of his goals were probably contenders for goal of the tournament in their own right. And it's no surprise for me that Real Madrid have parted with some 88 million euros to make him the latest Galactico, because at the age of 22, here's a guy who could go stratospheric and become, for me, maybe one of the greatest players of all time.
A vital player for both club and country, Thomas Muller rarely fails to impress. After helping Bayern to treble glory in 2013, his 26 goals contributed to Bayern Munich's successful defence of their League and Cup double under Pep Guardiola. A Golden Boot winner at the 2010 World Cup finals, Muller was close to winning it again in Brazil, scoring 5 goals as Germany lifted the trophy for the 4th time. OK, Greg, he's one of these players, isn't he, who just seems to turn up at the right time in the big tournaments, as well as impressing for his club. Yeah,
of course. He's already making the World Cup his own, Thomas Muller. He's scored 10 goals in the tournament now. And he's the only player playing at the moment who could possibly catch Miroslav Klose's record of 16 goals, and I think he's probably going to do it. I think what people say about Muller is he might not have the technical qualities of some of his Germany teammates. You think of Toni Kroos or Bastian Schweinsteiger, but he leads by example and he delivers on the big moments. He presses hard, he runs forever, he's intelligent, he's clever, and that's why he's so important. For Bayern Munich too, perhaps he wasn't used as much as he would have liked by Pep Guardiola in some of the big games, but on the big occasions he did step up. He scored vital goals against the likes of Arsenal and Manchester United, and already at 25 he's won everything he would ever want to win in his club career.
Has he possibly been a bit underrated, undervalued in the last 3 to 4 years?
For me, I'd have had him as the player of the tournament at the World Cup. I'd have had him to win the Golden Ball because for me he was Germany's most important player. He scored 5 goals and they won the tournament, so what more could you ask for? OK, so you clearly think he should have been a candidate for the Golden Ball. Now let's see who is at number 4. Having captained Bayern Munich to treble glory in 2013, Philipp Lahm is now fully established as one of the best players in the world. The arrival of Pep Guardiola at Bayern saw Lahm switch to a central midfield role, with the Spaniard calling him the most intelligent player he's ever worked with. The 30-year-old went on to lead Bayern to a successful defence of their League and Cup titles in Germany,
before his finest moment, lifting the World Cup for Germany in Brazil. Okay, so Pete, he's a player who's well known to us, but are we judging him as things stand on his midfield performances in the last year or his decade of service as a right back?
Aidan, I think we're judging him on both. Obviously, Pep Guardiola came into Bayern last summer and moved Philipp Lahm back into midfield. Of course, he played there as a teenager, and he brought a real calm, understated authority to Bayern's play. And he played it there under Joachim Löw at the World Cup as well. But it mustn't be forgotten that he was a scapegoat for some fairly ordinary Germany performances early on in the World Cup, and they didn't really look themselves until Lahm went back into that right back position. So across those two positions, you would say he's among the best players in the world. And you know, the fact that he's so high on this list really exemplifies the fact that, you know, he is probably one of the more consistent players that the game has ever seen. You know, he's won the treble. This year he won domestic double and lifted the Club World Cup as well before, you know, retiring on a high with Germany from international football, lifting the World Cup.
Okay, so here's where things get really interesting. I can tell you that in no particular order, the top three will be Cristiano Ronaldo, Arjen Robben and Lionel Messi. But before we reveal the winner of the Goal 50 2014, we'll be taking a look back at the seasons had by all three, starting with Cristiano Ronaldo.
When I was at Manchester United, I think he was close to the Finnish article.
I leave United on a high, but still improved.
When you talk about complete players, Cristiano Ronaldo is probably that. He's fast, he scores goals.
He's going 30 goals to 60 now.
Quick, strong.
The speed, heading, he's a fantastic guy to shoot with both the free kicks, dribbling.
He's got a left foot and a right foot, he's got skills.
The most complete player I had ever coached in my life.
So Greg, another memorable year for Ronaldo.
Yeah, he may not have had the World Cup he wanted, but certainly at club level he delivered. La Decima was an obsession for Real Madrid, and he was the man who delivered it. 17 goals in the Champions League alone tells you the story of a remarkable season for Ronaldo. It was the only thing that really mattered this season, and he did it. He scored in 8 consecutive games in the Champions League. He scored against every team they played against. He drove them almost single-handedly at times to the Champions League title, and that's why he's in the top three. That's why he's so good.
But Pete, is it fair to say that, to some degree at least, he flattered to deceive at the World Cup?
Well, I think it needs to be put into context because Portugal had not a hope of getting to the World Cup if it wasn't for Cristiano Ronaldo. That hat-trick that he scored against Sweden in the playoffs in November was probably his best individual performance of the entire season for club and country. And it mustn't be forgotten either that he was carrying 2 significant injuries by the time he got to Brazil, both in his thigh and in his knee. And it just showed his dedication to the national cause that he was able to put on that armband and take to the field in the first place once he got there, because there wasn't a hope in a million years that he was ever going to be fit to carry that team to the final.
Okay, so on to someone now who didn't only have a great club season, he also had a great World Cup. Arjen Robben.
He's developed into one of the best players in the world.
For me, Robben is perhaps one of the most predictable but devastating players in world football.
If anything, he's got better as his career has gone on. He's almost got faster as well, which is a strange thing.
You know every time he gets the ball what he's going to do. He's got incredible pace. He's always going to look to cut in on that left foot.
I can't understand why he isn't considered as not only one of the best players of this generation, but also one of the greatest wingers of all time.
Okay, so Greg, the Netherlands seem to be set up to get the best out of Arjen Robben. Is it fair to say that he really did step up?
The consensus, certainly among the journalists, was that Arjen Robben was one of the stars of the tournament. The Holland team really punched above their weights. They had no right to get to the semi-final as they did, and the reason they did really was Robben, because Robin van Persie may have been the Netherlands captain, but Robben was their main man. He was the one they looked to, and on the counter-attack he was blistering. It started, of course, against Spain with 2 goals in that 5-1, and he didn't really look back. He was their main man and a brilliant player.
And Pete, how do you assess his club season? They won the Champions League the year before, but they remained strong domestically this time.
They did, yeah. Obviously, the Champions League semi-final, the 2 legs against Real Madrid, will go down as a huge disappointment. But otherwise, Robben was imperious. You know, he's the best player in the Bundesliga. He scored a goal in the cup final. He obviously missed the Club World Cup due to injury. But, you know, in the best team in Germany, here was the best player. And, you know, 2 short years ago, Arjen Robben looked to be pretty washed up. You know, he had that terrible run of form. You know, he flopped at Euro 2012. He missed a penalty in the Champions League final, missed a penalty in a very important league game against Borussia Dortmund. And it didn't look like he had any sort of future at Bayern. But, you know, he's knuckled down. And in the last 2 seasons, he's played probably the best football of his career. And now he can legitimately be called one of the top players in the world. And at the age of 30, that's a great achievement.
OK, let's take a look now at last year's winner, Lionel Messi.
I knew he was good when he was training with us at Barcelona, but I never thought that he would become this great.
Estamos hablando de uno de los mejores jugadores de la historia del fútbol.
His talents, his moving, his skills is extraordinary.
The close control, the speed, scoring at will sometimes.
Diciamo che Messi ti fa 10 scatti in 10 minuti e li stronca perché
he turns on a button and he goes and nobody can follow him.
Magari ti giri e ancora sta iniziando a sudare, tu sei cotto come...
In my opinion, Messi is the best player in the world.
OK, so Greg, at least numerically, it was another outstanding season for Lionel Messi.
Yeah, 48 goals for club and country over the course of the season. For any other player, it would be mind-boggling, but for Lionel Messi, it's pretty normal because he's one of the greatest of all time and it's no longer a surprise with him. But 41 goals over the season for Barcelona. It's the year when he became Barcelona's all-time leading goal scorer. So you can't argue with the fact that he has had a fantastic season.
And Pete, he came so close as well, didn't he, to emulating his compatriot Diego Maradona by leading Argentina to the World Cup.
He did. You know, the early part of his World Cup campaign was sprinkled with that type of stardust that Maradona left all over Mexico in 1986. He scored a wonderful goal against Bosnia-Herzegovina in the first game, scored a great goal in the last minute against Iran in the second, and 2 more against Nigeria as they took their place in the knockouts. You know, he did tend to slow down a little bit in the knockout rounds. Angel Di Maria did get an assist from Messi, though, against Switzerland in the second round. But by the time the quarterfinals, the semi-finals and the finals rolled around, I think the opposition defences maybe had sussed out Messi a little bit and he just didn't have that extra thrust to get them over the line in the final against Germany.
So we've picked out Cristiano Ronaldo, Arjen Robben and Lionel Messi as the standout performers of the year. It's now time to announce the winner of the Goal 50 2014. And the winner is Cristiano Ronaldo. Congratulations to the Real Madrid and Portugal superstar who finished ahead of Arjen Robben with last year's winner Lionel Messi finishing 3rd. So Pete, for you, we're looking at a deserved winner in your view?
Absolutely. The difference this year for Cristiano Ronaldo, to go along with all his skills and enthralling play, was the fact that he managed to clinch La Decima for Real Madrid. 17 goals in the Champions League. Nobody else has ever touched that number before. 8 consecutive games he scores in the Champions League. Nobody's ever done that before. 50 goals for the 4th consecutive season. All these kind of numbers show that Ronaldo was the best player in the world.
But what's been the difference, Greg? Because he's set high standards for many years up until now. What's been different this season?
Well, as you say, he's already going to go down as one of the greatest of all time. He's already a superstar. I think this season, certainly in the first half of the season, he really stepped up into another level, a world of his own really. I thought he was miles better than Messi throughout the season, but especially in those first few months when he was scoring at a rate of more than a goal a game. And the difference between Ronaldo and Messi and Robben is that Ronaldo has won the biggest club competition in the world this season, and that's why he's finished first, because he did it on his own.
I'm going to throw one to both of you now. Pete first. Can he get any better?
Well, at the age of 29, I would say that Ronaldo's probably in his peak at the minute. I know he's been there for quite some time, but towards the end of the season, we did see, you know, the first evidence that there's maybe some chinks coming into his armoury. And I mean, on his left leg, his left knee, and his left thigh slowed him down a little bit. But you know, he's got some pre-season to go through right now, and once the campaign gets back up and running again, I think he'd be 100% fit, and he certainly has another year or two absolutely at the very, very top of the game before we'll see any sort of dip in Ronaldo's form.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there, Pete. I think he's got at least 2 or 3 more years at the very top. You ask anyone about Ronaldo and they will say he's the perfect professional. He's such a physical specimen that he will probably last at this level a bit longer than Messi.
OK, so that's the 3rd time Cristiano Ronaldo has won the Goal 50. Make sure you stay across all the additional content and discussion on goal. Thanks to my guests, Greg Stobart and Pete Staunton. I'm Aidan McGee. Thanks for watching.